Hi, and welcome to A Drummer's Guide to, the podcast answering your questions about what it takes to be a professional musician, aside from the act of actually being able to play your instrument, which we're kind of taking as a given here. My name is Emily Dylan Davis. I have been drumming since 1999, professionally since 2008, and helping others to do the same since 2018. And that's why we're here today. That's why we are here today. So, today's question, by the way, if you have something right now that you're struggling with that you'd like to ask me about, get any insight on or anything else, you can go to emilydrums.com/AMA. I will just say that straight up top in case you're like, what again? Where do I need to go? So yeah, emilydrums.com/AMA. And that is exactly what today's, I was going to say caller, definitely not a caller, today's messenger, emailer, listener has done. So they wanted a shout out, and this is Jon Raynor, sorry, I've just been typing Jon's Instagram account, so but Jon, JONRAYNOR, Jon Raynor has sent in this question, so I'm gonna hopefully offer some insight into what he is currently struggling with. So I will start by reading the question, and then I will get into my thoughts, so of which I have a few, funnily enough. I've always got thoughts, haven't I? Never not got a thought in my brain that comes out of my mouth, but here we go. Right, so Jon is asking, how do I catch a break, or at least catch the eye of people needing a higher level drummer? I've been posting more regularly, as well as training and qualifying as a music teacher, looking to fulfill the dream of touring and traveling as a musician, and not just as a cruise ship performer, but for a bigger artist. I currently play in my own originals band and 2 other session artist bands who are all on the way up, just at a slower trajectory. So how do I either continue with the artists I play with, or who am I looking to work with? I'm not sure if I've read that correctly, but yeah, or who am I looking to work with? Okay, I kind of get the gist of what you're saying there, Jon. Do drummer auditions still exist? And if so, is there any for the pros out there? Not saying I'm a pro, but I think I could swim in the deep in the deep end, metaphorically, so to speak. Otherwise, is it just right place, right time kind of thing? Thanks, Emily. Jon. Okay, so me and Jon have actually been in touch before this anyway, so we've had a few conversations over messaging. But thank you, Jon, so much for this question. And I distinctly remember being in this spot, or feeling this way as well, where I kind of was doing a bunch of things, but I hadn't quite gotten over that threshold of being called for professional auditions. I didn't quite understand what I needed to do to get to that next level. Again, similar to you, I was in the same sort of spot. I was playing with a lot of originals artists who were kind of sort of doing little bits here and there, but everything felt very slow at the time. Yeah, and it is a tough spot. It's a tough spot to be in, that kind of in-between stage. But yeah, let me share with you my thoughts. Okay, so here's the things that I sort of like realized, and in relation to some of the things that you've said. So the first thing that sort of like, I was like, ooh, what's that? Was the use of the phrase, and I'm sure you just use it as a throwaway statement, but the idea of catching the eye of professionals. I think, and I'm sure that you know this already, Jon, but what it actually is, it's never about catching the eye of someone. Like, I have never gotten a gig from someone seeing me once and then just going, oh, I want her on my gig. Even if they've seen me play a 2-hour show, it's not that. It's never happened to me. Maybe it's happened to someone else, but oh, by the way, before I carry on, if you see that I have this, what would you call it? Injury on my wrist. I look like I've been scrapping. Knuckles. It's still too early for me. No, on my knuckles, I have a couple of grazes. It looks like I've been scrapping. I haven't been scrapping. I had some MMA gloves that I had to use the other day. And between the like sweat and humidity building up when I was training, it ended up wrecking my knuckles. And it looks like I've been out like having fights. I just didn't have my boxing gloves. Anyway, so sorry, ADHD brain strikes again. So anyway, the catching the eye thing, yeah, it's not about just someone seeing you once and go, you know what, I want that person on this gig. What it's more about is showing up consistently with people. Like I say, I've never once gotten a gig from someone seeing me play a single time. Like, even, I know I speak about the darkness thing and the fact that let's say they were introduced to me by seeing a video of me playing online, so that kind of piqued their interest, but they instantly went to their crew guys and the people that they work with and said, does anyone know this person? And luckily I had worked with one of their techs on Brian Ferry, so we had done extensive work well, not extensive, but we'd done multiple shows together. They could vouch for me. I was consistent. I was showing up consistently. And what that means for me, at least, is not just playing consistent, like playing well, doing the gig, but like, you know, just getting on with people, being a professional, you know, doing the job that is kind of needed. So like I say, catching the eye is the very first part of the rung of that ladder. For me, it's the consistency of showing up, because you might not catch the eye initially, but you might build very good friendships. You will consistently show up, consistently do a good job, and you'll become the one, oh, that person is reliable, which was kind of what I think I started becoming, which, let me tell you, there's nothing unsexier than being like, feeling like, oh goody, I'm the reliable one. I was like, wow, I sound like great fun, don't I? Oh, Miss Reliable over there. But hey, you know what? It's given me like many years of work and a career, so I can't complain too much. But you know what it's like? We're like, oh good, oh that's nice, I'm reliable. Oh. But anyway, so you were also saying about these artists that you're playing with, and it feels like a very slow trajectory. Dude, this career thing is a slow trajectory in my experience. You know that saying, it takes 10 years to be an overnight success? Is that right? Yeah. I have certainly found that in my career. Longer, admittedly, or arguably. So for me, it was the first 9 years of playing, and obviously I was still very much at the beginning stage of learning my instrument, but even then, from the age of 11, which it sounds crazy now, I was playing every week. Obviously I was in school, so it's slightly different, but I was still out playing every week, at least once a week, out at a blues jam, so away from school. But then in school I was playing with everyone that I could. Every morning I was playing with Charisse, and we would be like batting back and forth ideas, and you know just that thing of connecting with another musician, admittedly another drummer, so it's slightly different. But anyway, the point was, it was sort of like playing music and being exposed to stuff and being exposed to different people. So there were, for me, and then once I left school, obviously the further on I went, the more intense those kind of like going out playing with loads of different bands became. And it became that I was out every day doing something, whether that was a rehearsal during the day with one band, a gig at night with another band, or maybe just one gig a day, or maybe two, or maybe three, or maybe 4 gigs a day sometimes, which, can I just say, would not recommend that. I remember those days. They almost killed me. Like, just the act of even getting from one venue to the next was like so stressful, but then having to do many different sets was just like, oh my gosh, I wouldn't recommend it. It was overkill. It was definitely overkill. But those first 9 years definitely got me to the place where I then did get a call for a gig, that, because before that point I was doing a little bit of paid work, but it wasn't consistent. I wouldn't have considered myself a professional, because in my mind I always had it in my head, right, in order to call myself a professional drummer, I have to be earning my sole income from playing the drums, which happened in 2008 when I got a call from The Hours. And again, this call that I got was not someone seeing me once, it was a call for an audition. So you were saying about, do auditions still exist? I will come on to that, because they certainly do. But I got a call for that audition because Charisse was playing with who I've known since I was 11 years old. She is my sister from another mister. Like, she was playing with Mika. No, was she playing with Mika? Yeah, she was playing with Mika, and Mika's front of house was married to the manager of The Hours. They wanted a female drummer, a second drummer. The Hours did, and they asked all the people in their network, do you know any female drummers? At the time, there weren't a lot of us, so Charisse obviously got asked because logic would state that she probably knows other female drummers, and she was like, yeah, call Emily, that'd be great. So it was me, I want to say, Florrie came. I think that's when I met Florrie, and I can't even remember her surname, which is really embarrassing. So anyway, me, Florrie, I feel like there were a couple of others that came and auditioned. Oh, they definitely did, because in fact, they weren't after, I think they had a preference for a female drummer, but they weren't set on it. They were like, well, whatever. And I remember this because Jamie Morrison came and auditioned, who now plays with, I think he's still with the Stereophonics. But anyway, Jamie I've known for years. I've known him since, yeah, we used to rehearse in the same studios back when he was with, oh no, an artist that I can't remember the name of. I was playing with an originals band called Visitor Q, and he was with, another band, and we used to rehearse in the same place. Anyway, irrelevant. I don't know why I'm going down this route, but yeah, we went and did like me, Florrie, Jamie, and I think another person went and auditioned for the Hours. Jamie got it. They wanted Jamie. They were like, absolutely, like that's our guy. As it turned out, he couldn't do it. He ended up having some other commitments come in that he couldn't get out of, and I guess I was second pick, so they called me, and that was my first professional gig. But again, I didn't catch the eye of anyone. Someone recommended me, and that was it. And luckily, I think, did I know anyone in that band? No, maybe not. But anyway, I went and auditioned, but it wasn't because I caught the eye of anyone. It was just someone vouched for me. I turned up, I did the thing. I didn't even get the audition originally, but, you know, as it happened, that's how it happened. So anyway, that meant that afforded me the ability to move out of home, to then start supporting myself and, you know, go pro. So, and that took 9 years to get to that point. Now, what I will say is, when I got to that point, that was not smooth sailing at all. Like, when it comes to full-time musician situation, like, it was a year and a half, and it was great. But what most people don't talk about is the fact that I was playing with the Hours. We were doing tours, we were doing all sorts of like videos, really cool stuff, like really cool. I really like great recordings in fantastic studios with great producers. Like, it was, when I tell you it was the dream, it was living the dream, that band. But it wasn't enough. I wasn't earning enough. So I was still playing with independent artists. I was playing with a fantastic artist called Philly, who never quite broke, but oh my God, she was amazing. So I was working with her. I was still doing tons of covers gigs. Who else? I think at that time I was also working, had I started working with Peter and Kerry at that point? Maybe that was later. But anyway, I was working with various other artists, some managing to pay me a tiny bit of money, some none at all. Others, like I said, covers gigs, that kind of was the thing that was making me consistent. But it was a struggle. It was still a struggle. And then in 2009, I left the Hours. And then it was like, so 2009 to 2010 was hard. That was really hard. I managed to just keep scraping together rent and all of that, but it was not easy. It was not smooth sailing. And then luckily Brian Ferry came in, and then after that it was tricky and things started to move. But I'd say it was another maybe 5 years, I'd say, until my work started to actually feel consistent. But even then it was still not quite, like, it was still a struggle. And then it was probably another 3 years after that I started actually feeling settled. And I think part of that was because I had my own business going on at that stage. I had my own studio, so I could have some sort of agency in where my career was going. I'd started this podcast, which really helped. And I started understanding the wider scope of what a career in this industry looks like past just playing and touring and recording. So I can't even remember why I started going down this road. Oh yes, slow trajectory. So yes, I mean, it does just take time. It unfortunately, it's not going to be one audition and you're set for life. Like, absolutely not. And you know, I'm still getting called for auditions, and it's it's still from people that I've known for a very long time. It's not just someone saw one video one time. That never happens. Not in my mind, not in my experience. Even when it comes to, let's take drumming out of or music out of the equation, even down to my coaching business, like people don't see one post on Instagram or even listen to one podcast episode and go, Emily's my girl, I want to have some coaching with her, I'd like her to help me out with whatever stuff I'm trying to go for or whatever. They have listened to probably hundreds of hours of me chatting, talking rubbish, hopefully talking some sense as well that's connected with them, and then they'll reach out and say maybe coaching is for me. And even then it's not yes, it's like maybe, let's see. So I think this thing of like, yeah, I just need to do this one thing and everything will be fine. I'd love to tell you that there's a way to do that, but as I say, in my experience, I haven't found it. I've tried to find it 100%. I think I've spoken before. I was the queen of trying to find shortcuts. There aren't any. I haven't found any. They just waste your time in things that you could be doing. But for me, it was more about avoiding social situations because I had such bad social anxiety and things like that, and imposter syndrome and all that sort of stuff. And I was so scared to face that it stopped me from doing things. Anyway, I'm going on to a whole different trajectory to what Jon is actually asking. So what I wanted to say as well is that, Jon, you mentioned about, is it just a case of right place, right time? And I would argue, yes, there is a huge element of being in the right place at the right time. And there's an addendum to that, which is that means that you need to be in many different places at many different times. So what that looked like for me, like I said earlier, I was going to say, well, like I said to you, sorry, it's always such a weird thing because I feel like I'm talking to Jon right now, but I do suddenly realize that I'm also talking to a camera. I am sat in a room by myself, but I'm going to continue to talk to you like you're right here with me. So what that looked like for me in terms of being everywhere all at once all the time was just playing with as many people as I could, as often as I could. Often to my detriment, I will say. I would very often make myself very sick. I would be burnt out, all those things. And I don't recommend it. I don't condone it, but that is my experience. That's how I did it. But it's because I'm an extreme person. Don't know whether you've noticed. So I was out playing with, people would ask me, like, how many different artists or bands are you playing with right now? And I'd be like, I don't have an answer because it's very hard to quantify sometimes, because often what I was doing, so let's talk about shortcuts, because this actually was something that I don't want to say it's a shortcut, but I did think, right, what's the most effective way that I can meet as many people as I can and play with as many people as I can? And I'd say there's downsides to this because it means that you don't develop sort of like deep bonds with people. Sometimes it's very surface level, so it's kind of like just having a little taster of many musicians, whereas arguably I think it's actually better to create very nourished relationships with musicians, like long term. But anyway, this is just how I did it. I thought, right, I'm going to hit as many people as I can, and the way I'm going to do that is be the dep girl. That was my whole thing. So I didn't want to be tied down to any one artist, any one band, any one set of musicians. I just wanted to be out there and be playing as much as I could, i.e. getting as much experience as I could and meeting as many people as I could. Those two things definitely go hand in hand, and, just dealing with different musician types, different levels of experience, learning so much from so many different people. So yeah, I became the dep girl. That was my aim. I was like, right, I'm going to be Mrs. Dep. Your drummer breaks their wrist on the day of the gig. I'm the person, again, coming back to reliability. I'm the person that could be called, could turn up, could do the gig. And I became known for that. Like, again, being reliable, how very attractive. So that's how I kind of like weathered that. So, and that really, really worked for me, definitely. So yeah, a lot of the reason that I did get called for things is because it was the right place at the right time. But like I say, it's because I was in so many places with so many people all of the time that it was just a numbers game at the end of the day. And I like this metaphor of, like, I don't know if it's a metaphor, I guess so. To me, getting to do this for your living is like winning the lottery, like really genuinely is. And obviously we all know the odds of that are very minimal. It's hard, but for every new musician that you meet, for every gig that you do that is with new people or a new experience or expanding your network or expanding your skill set, to me that's like buying another lottery ticket, and it's increasing your odds of actually getting to win that lottery jackpot. And I am proud to say, I'm lucky to say that I consider myself a winner of that jackpot. But let me tell you, I invested in many lottery tickets, should we say, many. So I think, yes, there is an element of right place, right time, but there's a proactive way to approach that in my mind. And again, everything that I say, please bear in mind that this is purely my experience. There are many benefits that I had, like privileges that I had in terms of I grew up in London. So that in itself is such a huge thing. It's huge. The access that I had to different music scenes, musicians, different types of people, all those things, it started me off on a very good footing, a very, very good footing, a very tough footing, but a great one because it was normalized to me. That was completely normal. So anyway, so that's what I have to say when it comes to that. I think just playing out with as many people as possible, doing as many gigs as possible, and also just going to other people's gigs, going to jam nights. And I think making friends is the biggest untold skill, I think, of being in the music industry. Because coming back to auditions, are there any auditions for pro players? Yes, there are, but you get called for them by your friends. Like, I've been called in the last 6 months for 3-4 auditions, and all of them have been people that I have spent extensive periods of time with. One of them was a dude that I've known since I was 15. We met 15? Yeah, 15, who I adore, who I will not name, but I love him. I have not seen him in about 10 years, probably longer, 15 years, but he is in my heart so much. So he called me. Then there was another one recently, a different dude that I'd worked with on Brian Ferry, who I haven't heard from him in 10 years probably. What was the other one? Oh, another one was just, again, it was a friend from the cover circuit, and and also the 80 circuit, so it kind of like coincided. But these are all people that I have known for a long time, and we are friends, you know what I mean? We have a friendship, and some are deeper than others, some are more developed than others, some are more professional. It's irrelevant, they have been asked, because when you think, like, I always try to think of it like this, right? Let's say I'm getting asked to recommend someone for a gig. I think this is a natural human reaction. Maybe it's not, and maybe this says more about me than anything else. I don't care. I'll always be as honest as I can be with you. But I want to recommend someone that's going to make me look good. I'm going to want to recommend someone where I put them in on the gig and the band or whoever or the MD or the artist go, Emily, thank you. That person was perfect, because it feels good to be able to like help people and go, yeah, I help to facilitate that situation. So if you can be that person for someone else, someone that they can rely on, that they know that you're going to do a great job, not just playing wise but professionally, they know that you can get on with everyone, you're very, you're just personable, whatever else. I think that is a great place to start, but it has to start with friendship and making friends with people. And like I say, these can be very like surface level friendships, that's fine, but the people that are calling other people for gigs, they always want their friends on the gig. If they're the MD and they're putting together a band, they want their mates, because as we've said many times over and over again, 90% of the gig is hanging out and getting on with people. 10% of the gig is actually playing the gig. That's kind of like whatever, that's a given. It's very rare that becomes the defining factor of a gig, for me at least. It's more about the people. I think back to all the gigs that I've done, The gigs themselves, yeah, they happened. That's how I feel about them. They happened. Some were fantastic. There have been a few moments within those tours I'm like, oh, that was a great gig. But you know what I remember the most is the people. It's the people, it's the interactions, it's the adventures, it's the conversations, it's the mad situations. And because of that, I will call those people because of all those situations. I know people that get called for gigs that do not have the skill, but let me tell you, they are the best people to have on the road, the best. And you just go, well, they can do it well enough, but their vibe on tour, that is invaluable. Like I have a list of people that I'm like, you. I don't even care what your role is. I just need you here. So I think that's a really good insight to kind of like just know that it's not just about sort of like the playing side of it and again catching people's eye and all that sort of stuff. It's about the relationships that you build with people. It's about the friendships that you build with people within this industry, definitely. And just letting them know that, like I say, you're a safe pair of hands. As unrock and roll as that sounds, that's a reality. If you're looking to do it as a session musician, at least. Obviously, it's slightly different if you're in a band and that gets big, and I don't know the dynamics of that. I know I did the Darkness thing, but I essentially was still a session musician in that scenario. I'm not. It's just not in my personality to be like a band member. I almost don't know how. I haven't been in a band since I was 18, and even then, it wasn't quite a band. I'd say proper band, probably 16, 17. And even then, I always had that session musician mentality. It was about the professionalism. I didn't care about all these rock and roll moments and, oh, let's do this crazy thing. And I'm like, why don't we just go play the gig and like do a good job and make the audience have fun and bring them on side? And I don't know, I guess I'm just the weirdo in that situation. But anyway, I'm going to keep looking at my notes because I've completely lost my place. So yeah, right time, right place, playing out with as many people as possible, making friends. Yes, there are auditions, but you will get called by your mates. It's your mates that's going to call you. So that's the other thing I wanted to talk about. So I spoke about my sort of slow trajectory, what I would consider a slow trajectory, but I think everyone has a slow trajectory. I spoke to multiple musicians over the years about this because of my frustration with things not happening quick enough. And inevitably, the thing that I always got back was, look, you need patience. It is just going to take time. And with me personally, my style of playing, I remember being told, look, you're going to get called by the what they called, not heritage musicians, I can't remember that. Basically, you're not going to get called by some new up and coming pop act because it's not the way I play. I play with like, I want groove, I want sitness, I want to sit with that band, I want to be in it. And there's not a lot of new gigs around that are like that, or at least at the time when I was coming up. Maybe a little more so now, but and therefore I got told consistently, look, because of the style of player you are, because of the type of person that you are as well. I've always been an old soul, which I think is code for you're a bit weird. Anyway, I've always been a bit weird, and I think I've always gotten on with older people anyway. I've always played with older people. It's just the way that it is. It's been fantastic. It means that I've always upped my skill level considerably because I'm surrounded by very experienced people, not just musically, but, personally in life. But consequently, there did need to be a very big element of patience for me, which is a nightmare. But in saying that, there was also other things that changed for me because inevitably, with time, you kind of start to understand about what it means to be a musician. Because when you start playing an instrument, you're just playing and it's great and it was fun and all of this. But whenever I would listen to drummers that were more experienced, the way they bedded in with the music, I never really understood why. I never understood what was happening. I knew that I wasn't doing it, but I didn't know why that was happening. And I tried to emulate it all the time and I just didn't understand. And I think I was sort of that over-analyzing it as kind of just trying to understand it. But there were a couple of things that changed for me. And I've spoken about this on previous episodes, but anyway, performance was a big thing for me, and I will come back to that because I think it's such an underrated thing, and I will continue to talk about it because, yeah, it's not spoken about enough. But the other thing was just learning how to bed myself in with the music, like get into the music, if that makes sense. So, and I've spoken about this a little bit as well. I remember seeing like musicians, okay, I don't even know how to articulate this. So, I don't know why I remember this, but I really remember this one jam night that I went to. It was a long time ago. I couldn't tell you who was there. I couldn't tell you the venue. I couldn't tell you the song that was playing. I don't remember anything. But what I do remember was a bunch of musicians on stage, and I want to say they were probably my age at the time, sort of early 20s. And I remember seeing, I don't know why, the bass player really stood out to me. They were playing this song and this bass player was moving. He was doing the moves. But they were so superficial that it was just cringy. And I was like, I hate this. You could just see that it was for show, and they weren't in the music. It wasn't embedded in, it was on top. And that was how I felt I was playing. I felt like I was playing on top of the music. And when I started understanding about performance, I felt the same way. I felt like I was performing, but it wasn't quite connected to the music that I was playing, if that makes sense. And therefore the performance was happening and it looked good on the surface, maybe. I'm sure some people had a similar reaction that I had to this bass player of like, oh, this is a bit cringy because it just doesn't feel, there's something off. There's something that feels disingenuous here. Most people enjoyed it, so that's fine, whatever. But I knew as I was watching it, and I still look back at some things and I'm like, oh, it just doesn't sit. So what I had to do was find a way to, is synthesize the right word? I don't know, just combine those two things so that they met. Synthesize, I'm going to go for that. Synthesize those two things. I don't think it's the right word. Synergize. Is that a word? Let's say yes. Synergize those two things. Don't think that makes sense, but I needed there to be synergy between the performance that I was doing along with the music that I was playing and embed myself into that. And the way that I did that was, and I've spoken about this multiple times, for me, it was very much getting into the story of the song, the lyrics. It was also, and I don't know how often I've spoken about this, feeling it in my body, like where did I feel music? And it wasn't necessarily playing. Actually, what I started with was when I see a group or a musician that really like, hits me. Where does it hit me? And I've done it. If you're watching, you'll see me. It hits me in the chest. It hits me in the stomach, where I'm like, almost like, oh my God, I feel like I've been winded. This is so disgustingly good. It makes me want to cry. Like it hits me in such a visceral way. And I thought, right, I need to notice that and somehow bring that to my performance, my playing. So that's what I started doing. I started noticing where I was feeling it, and sometimes I wasn't feeling it anywhere. But the way that I would do this is I would bring the story not just into my brain but into my body, and I would bring it into my emotions, which are in my chest, in my stomach, and like, and then inevitably I start contorting my body when I'm playing. And yes, I know that's a very bad technique. It never hurt me, so that's why I was like, that's fine for me. But I do recognize some people are very up on the technique thing. There is nothing wrong with that at all. I have massive respect for all of that. But for me, it involved basically looking like a little golem over the kit and just digging in, you know. But that's the thing that really changed everything for me, I think. And it's when I started understanding that that was how I was going to bed in with the music and therefore connect with other musicians, connect with the audience, connect with the artist, the song, the whole thing. It's like it was like these two arms that just came around me and the music, and just everything came into a big hug, and it just all made sense to me. And that sort of like, I mean, when did that start happening? It wasn't really that long ago, really, I don't think. Maybe it was. Maybe I'm misunderstanding what year it is right now. That's what I was just thinking. Maybe 10 years ago. Maybe, if I'm being generous, 10 years ago. But obviously, it's been an ongoing process. And the more that you do it, the more you can flip into that mode in a quicker way. The more you can find your way into a song to really be in it. And it's only then that I started really feeling in the music. And like I say, that's when I started getting the calls that were with musicians that I looked up to, that I had wanted to play with the whole of my career, that I just, there was a synergy there was an alignment with those musicians. And for me, notably, that was the Voice Kids. Like, that band, they are the personification of exactly the kind of like gritty, in the moment, like embedded in the songs, like right there. That band was the epitome of that. It was just, is that the right word? Yeah, the epitome. Yeah. Antithesis is opposite, right? So epitome must be, okay. Anyway, for me, that was like the gold standard. That was where I'd wanted to be for a very long time, amongst that caliber of musician. And I'm not talking just like in a scale, going like linear scale. I'm talking like just my people, you know what I mean? When you find your people, and it's just so fulfilling, basically. And I'm not even sure why I went, oh, that's why I was going down this route. For me, the big thing was just finding those things that I was missing from my playing, that was stopping me from getting those bigger calls, basically. And it's not even about bigger calls, it's about more aligned gigs, and working out how to just be that player before you get called for the gig, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense, but anyway, that's just a little insight into kind of what was happening for me. And like I say, the performance side of it then dovetailed onto that anyway. Like it, I started out performing one way, but once I understood about embedding into the music and then brought my performance from that way up, from the ground up, if you like, it changed everything, because it wasn't about just the superficiality of maybe having really big arms when I'm playing, or whatever your instrument is, you know, big movements. It wasn't about that. It was about, and I hate this word because it's so overused, but authentic movements. Like, there was an honesty in the movements that I was making, and they didn't need to be these big movements, but they could be very thick movements, like very like just very, not particularly big, but very meaningful compared to the music, or not compared to, in line with the music. And it was more emotional movement. It was not big. Sometimes it was, sometimes it is. Sometimes it's a big angry song and I want big arms and I want to be thrashing around like a crazy person because I'm angry. But if I'm, you know, heartbroken, it's more of a like, oh, it's a melancholy kind of movement, you know? But it's always honest to whatever I'm feeling in that moment. And that really, it changed everything for me. And I continue to bring that, hopefully, I hope, to everything that I do. That kind of level of honesty with the emotions that are involved, and then whatever that looks like and however that sort of comes out performance-wise. So anyway, I hope, John, that gives you some sort of insight into my feelings around all this. I will say as well, I had a quick look at your Instagram, because I was thinking, I was like, right, how can I be practical with you specifically? Now, if anyone wants to go check out Jon Raynor, if you go to J Raynor Drums, all one word, on Instagram, you can see him on there. Also, John, I'm pretty sure you have a second Instagram that you haven't posted on since 2022. I'd say take that down, because it got confusing, because I searched for your name and that was the first one that came up. And I was like, this doesn't make sense, because you said you've posted recently. And then I looked back at our messages and I was like, oh, he has another account, which you had posted on. So I was like, well, that makes sense. So anyway, get rid of the other one. It's confusing. It's confusing. I don't know why it's there. Please get rid of it. So here's a very quick kind of like, let's call it a triage of just things that I think would help your profile. I do think the whole crux of this is to be getting out there and playing with as many people as possible. But as I always say, I feel like Instagram is a great kind of calling card or rolling CV that you can show people who you are, what you do, how you play. And again, that consistently showing up can be an online thing as well as in real life. So someone has played with you, they've gone, oh, that was really fun, I really like the way that Jon played, that was fantastic. Let me just look at his Instagram. Oh, look, here's him playing even more, and he's still fantastic consistently. So we like that. Consistency is key in so many ways. So here's my thoughts, just like I say, very quickly, very, very quick triage. So I will say that I thought there was actually not a huge amount of you playing. I think I had to scroll through about 7 or 8 videos before I got to an actual video of your playing. Mainly it was pictures of your kit, which is fine, but it does come across as a drummer posting for other drummers. There was another video that I saw of you doing like practicing something. Again, reads drummer for drummers, not for out playing gigs. So I would say maybe like hold off on the practice videos, because you want to show your confidence in what you do. You don't want to show people like, oh, look at this thing that I'm working on. Like, I think if you're focusing on teaching, I think it's very useful, and I would say have a separate account for that, because it's a very different vibe. If you want to be a drum teacher or posting for drummers, such different content to posting for musicians that you want to hire you, essentially. So my thoughts on the videos that I did see, I feel like for you personally, I think there doesn't need to be anything. You can do whatever you want, but I think if you could bring a bit more of an element of performance to your playing, I think that really would just help project what you're going to bring to the gig and bring on the stage. Alongside that, I think, because there are videos, and there's one video where you are sort of like moving a bit more, also video or pictures of you when you're playing interacting with other musicians, because at the moment it feels very focused just on you, and it's very solo, and it feels very in your own head, not in your own head like, but just you are playing drums, you're not playing music. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense. So I'd say maybe, you know, and whether you are interacting with people on stage in the actual gig, but you've just happened to put up a post of you just sort of like in your own, sort of doing your own thing, that's fine. I'd say just post more of that, because again, you want to show people how you do a gig, like what do you bring to the gig. Another thing is some of the posts, or a lot of them, are kind of like drum solo parts of the gig, which again, fine, but it reads posting for drummers rather than musicians. You want to show your groove, you want to show how you're locking in with other musicians, all of that sort of stuff. So I'd say that could be something also. The other thing, something that I've spoken about so much, a show reel. I think a show reel would do you so much good. Just a few clips of you playing, maybe not with the audio, but just with something else like recorded over the top, or even using stock music from Instagram is fine. We just want to show your performance. We want to show the breadth of different gigs that you're doing, the way that you perform. And again, this might be something that you need to sort of like film over the next few gigs, so that you are sort of performing out a little bit more. It's a little more interactive with the people on stage, or the audience, or the artist, or whatever else. It sounds like you are doing a lot of gigs, so hopefully you have a lot of chance to actually do that. I think that might be it. Is that it? Da 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 da. Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba. Ga 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 ga. Ga 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 ga. Yes, I think that's it. I hope that's okay. I hope I haven't overstepped the mark there in sort of just trying to offer my opinion, but it is exactly that. It's just my opinion. Feel free to absolutely not take it on board. But I think that would help in some way. But I think more than anything, like bottom line, be out there playing more with as many people as you can. The other thing is, I don't think you're in London, but you are in the UK, so I can't remember where in the UK you are, but yeah, just find as many people. If you can travel to a city, if you're not in a big city like London, Manchester, Bristol, whatever, go there and start playing with some new people, get into some new kind of like areas, some different circles of players as well. I think that would really help. But yeah, anyway, I hope that's helped in some way. I hope that wasn't too rambly. I think it was, quite honestly. Also, I wanted to say, so first of all, thank you, Jon Raynor, for that question. I really appreciate it. I love all the detail that you went into, because I think it's really useful for other musicians to also, you know, hear these things and think about these things. And let me tell you, you're not alone in this, Jon, not at all. I have many people struggling with this this kind of threshold, and I struggled myself with it. Like, it is a thing. But once you sort of like recognize the dynamic of how things come about, I think it does make it a little bit easier if you start thinking about it from other people's perspective, of like the people that would be hiring you. What do they need to see? Quite simply, what do they need to know? What are they up to? Who are they? What are they doing? Let's go and mingle. That makes it sound very simple. It's not simple at all. It's very hard. It takes time, but you know, you'll do it. If you want to do it, you'll do it. And you are doing it. That's the other thing. Oh, fun little crossover with Jon as well. He is playing with Will Edgar, who was one of the contestants on The Voice Kids, who was, real soft spot for Will Edgar. He was fantastic. Really enjoyed playing with him. So yeah, fun little crossover there of worlds. But yes, anyway, I hope that's helped in some way. If you yourself have a question that you'd like me to answer, you can go to emilydrums.com/AMA. I wanted to say thank you as well, because there's been a few new entries when I've been doing a call out for new questions. So we have a few more episodes to go for sure, but please do keep them coming in, because once they dry up, like I said, I'm going to do it as long as it is beneficial to people. So, but I need your questions to come in order to do that. So I think I've got another 4 or 5 to do. So you have a bit of time, but please, I mean, look, you can remain anonymous if you feel uncomfortable about, you know, giving away any sort of like personal details, professional details, whatever else. That's fine. That's not a problem. But yeah, I think that it's really nice and cathartic to share it. And I think a lot of people have very similar experiences of struggle. There isn't one question that I've received that I haven't gone, yep, I've had that happen to me in one respect or another. Yep. I know what that feels like, or a version of, like, I have an idea what that probably feels like. There are certain universal truths in this, in this world, to be honest. And if I can offer you any sort of insight in how I've dealt with those things, then I want to do that. I really do. It gives me great joy and pleasure and fulfillment, and hopefully it helps you too. Most importantly, it's not all about you, Emily. Jeez. So yes, anyway, emilydrums.com/AMA. Do the usual, like, share, subscribe, you know the drill. And if you want to book in for a free 30-minute taster coaching session with me, so I offer one-to-one coaching, so it's essentially us just working through the thing, like where you want to be, where you're at now, and we make a plan and we sort of set goals and things like that. But yeah, I offer a free 30-minute version of that, basically. If you go to emilydrums.com, 30-minute call, funnily enough, and we just speak about what's going on for you, and I will tell you any things that come to mind in that moment, and then talk to you about if you wanted to do coaching moving forward. But there's literally no pressure to do it past that 30-minute call. It would just be nice to have a chat, quite honestly. So yes, anyway, if that interests you at all, go to emilydrums.com. You can book in for that there. And I think that's it. Thank you to Jonathan Raynor. Thank you, Jon. I really appreciate your openness, your honesty, as always. And I hope that's helped in some way. I really, really do. But yeah, anyway, I shall love you and leave you on that note. I hope you're having a lovely day wherever you are, whatever you're up to. And I shall see you next time for another episode. All right. See you later. Bye.